28 months down, yeah, the industry's been bruised, but we're not here to fold, we're here to refuse. While others pause, we built the plays, now we're leading the charge in a brand new phase. You feel that tension, that's the pressure to grow. Hiring's messy, turnovers high and budgets low, but we don't panic, we adapt. We sharpen the edge and reload the map. This is the Staffing Playbook, strategy on tap. Steven brings the grit, G-Money brings the slap. Forget the fluff, forget the spin. We give you plays that actually win. From the break room floor to the boardroom seat, we've walked the walk, now we bring the heat. CDLs, forklifts, line leads, and execs. We place the best and fix the wrecks. Insight, hustle, leadership bold. No safe takes, just the truth told cold. Wanna scale your team, wanna close that gap. We got the data, the story, and the roadmap. So turn it up, lock it in. This is more than a podcast, it's a win. This is the Staffing Playbook. Let's get to work, it starts right now.
Oh, it's a Staffing Playbook.
G-Money with the slap. Sorry.
The song's in my head all the time now, Steve-O. You know that, man. Woo!
You are welcome, buddy. Well, welcome back to the Staffing Playbook. Today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood and misreported forces shaping our industry right now. That's the hidden drivers behind the job data, skyrocketing healthcare costs, and what it all means for staffing leaders in 2025. I'm your host, Steve Farrell, joined by my co-host,
Genevieve Bourgeois. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you for asking. And we have our regular panel back today. Kim Henderson, founder of Cobalt Compass Solutions, deep experience in advising staffing firms on compliance, on growth, on operations. Kim, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Every time I've got G-Money, Steve Farrell, and the Shark all together, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood.
It's a wonderful day. Richard Rosner, the Staffing Shark, also dubbed America's Job Agent, long-time industry voice. And of course, not only is he a trend spotter, but he is a trendsetter. Richard, welcome back.
Woo, man. Love that intro. Let's begin, boys and girls.
He's got the whistle. Look at that.
The whistle and everything. I love it.
I'm ready, man. I'm pumped for today. It's a great show.
All right. So we've all seen the headlines, healthcare premiums exploding, job growth barely hanging on. The BLS is quietly admitting that they don't even track the legal status of workers on payrolls. Add in record asylum flows, deportations, status revocations, and suddenly you have the so-called job slowdown. And I don't think it's what we all thought, but there's a twist. Demand isn't dead, it's just shifting. And from a staffing perspective, clients are choosier. Compliance is the new currency. And firms that deliver like first time, the right talent that are compliant are about to eat everybody's lunch. So we got the sharpest voices here, Kim, Richard. I think we need to just jump into this. What do you say?
Is it the sharpest or the loudest? No, both of you are very sharp. I love it. I love it. Well, no, why do you think we've been so excited to have like you all on with the panel?
And we're on the talk today. Look at that. Hollywood Squares. You know, that's
Yes,
I
We're
know.
feeling important these days. Look at that.
Yeah. Okay, guys, here's something that I've been watching this for several years now, and I'm like, okay, somebody's got to do something. And if you take it, I don't think, take any political party, the Democrats, the Republicans, the independents, nobody has this figured out because healthcare costs have spiraled out of control. Here's what I was reading this week and kind of backs this up. So they're expecting a 10% hike in healthcare costs in 2026. And the reasons behind this are citing a few things, right? High catastrophic claims, high prescription drug costs, and increased chronic health conditions, right? So when it came to the prescription drugs, and this could be controversial, so I want us to kind of get into it and scrap it out on this one because I think we all have opinions. They're citing incredible, demand up for GLP-1 drugs that companies are paying for. And of course, this is driving up their premiums, right? So there's a little bit more to this, right? So what companies are saying is to offset these costs is they're going to start doing more cost sharing. 27% of employers are saying they're going to pass it along completely to their employees, meaning they're going to have higher deductibles, higher co-pays, higher premiums, right? And basically saying that out of the Fortune 500 companies, 51% of orgs are going to put these changes in place for 2026. So my question, again, we have chronic conditions we have to pay for. People get ill. But what about GLP-1 drugs? They're expensive. They're saying it's about $1,000 cost per person, and it's escalating their prescription drug prices, which is causing companies to pay more. Should these be offered? Should everybody be having to spread this out and pay for these GLP-1 drugs, even if you're not using it, because it impacts the entire plan? I say no, it should not be covered.
Whoa! All right.
Well, the thing is, so
it's impacting the plan.
Well,
Jump in, G-Money.
I'm just like, okay, so so GLP-1 drugs, those were actually first introduced, okay, especially for diabetics. All right. And so it does help out there. And so maybe is it something where there's a case where you have to be like, I have X, Y, and Z condition, therefore that is actually entirely covered, right? Because
yes, I agree with G-Money, and I probably should have said that. So forgive me. I agree. She's 100% correct. If you're
versus the vanity of wanting to lose 10
right,
pounds.
exactly. If you're a diabetic, you need it, right, G-Money?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's a chronic health condition, and I agree with that. But if, to your point, I like how you said it. If it's like a vanity thing, and you're going, I just can't pull myself away from the table, I need help, I don't know that we should be paying for that. It needs to be
then you call the shark for that, right? To get you in shape. That's all.
Yeah. What do you guys think? You nailed it. I agree with you.
You know what, Kim? I'm gonna jump in on this because here's what I think. Okay, so there's different conditions. Psoriasis is one of the biggest conditions now that everybody has. I mean, like it or not, it's about the environment, or if it was from whatever happened in COVID, I don't know, but psoriasis is like 70% of people have psoriasis now. I don't know if you've seen it or not. So they have to take medication. There's Skyrizi. I take Skyrizi. I mean, up front. So you know what? So what do you do with these drugs? Here's what I'm going to say straight up. The government's at fault for this, guys. I'm going to tell you straight up there, and Big Pharma's in control of everything. 50% of our salary goes out for healthcare, and now it's going to be 60% in 26. So where do we stop with this? I mean, we are medicating the whole country. The whole country's medicated. So we need to stop somewhere, Kim, G-Money, and Steve. There's got to be a root stop right here. Companies can't afford it. I mean, the employees can't afford it. So where do we go from? I mean, there's got to be a way to have these prices drop down. We keep saying we're going to do it with every administration, Kim. It never happens.
Well, and the thing is actually with insulin, Eli Lilly, I want to say it was, they put a cap where it's $35 a month for insulin. And so maybe there's more caps that have to be put in there. But when it comes to, okay, is this actually a drug that people need, or is this something vanity wise? Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, G-Money. You're right. If you need it, I understand there are chronic conditions. But if it's vanity, then you're right. Then everybody shouldn't be paying for that. Hey, Richard, I talked to a guy this week. Yeah. He was saying he was on a drug for colitis, and it quit working. It was a cheap drug. And now he's on a different one, which is an infusion. And he said it was costing him around $1,800 a month out of pocket. And so that's like, there's got to be something that can be done.
It's amazing. Skyrizi, just to let you know, Skyrizi said I've experienced $20,000 for one shot for a year, $100,000. So if you don't have health care, where does that come out? Like, I mean, these are trial offers they have for all these biogenics and stuff like that, which are everywhere now. If you see any commercial after this, you'll see it on your phone and everything because we're talking about it. There's a commercial for biogenics everywhere. It's like, holy shit. So I got to ask you guys, where do we stop with this? Because, I mean, I don't know about you all, but like healthcare keeps going up, car insurance, all this stuff. But with healthcare, there's got to be a way that we can regulate this where people can get it for a decent discount. And I'm going to throw this out there. If you're working, you should get a discount on your health. If you're not working a job and maybe you're on government assistance, you don't get these premium stuff that you need. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but this is where we're draining all the economy money. I mean, tell me about it, guys.
Let me jump in here.
Yeah.
So here's the bottom line. Healthcare costs don't reset downwards ever. No. Right? they ratchet up every single year. And there's structural factors, right? That you've shared a little bit here, Kim and Richard. You've got aging, chronic disease, you've got new drugs, you've got, shortages of the production facilities, right? These all push prices higher, even when demand softens. Providers, insurers, they rarely lower rates. They just, sometimes they slow the pace of increase, but they're always increasing. And I think from a business standpoint, if you are providing healthcare for your employees, you've got to be very clear on what is it that you want to offer your employees. Do you want affordable healthcare, or you just want healthcare options, right? You have to choose as a business leader, what is it that you'd like to offer your employees when it comes to compensation, when it comes to benefits, when it comes to PTO, so you have to build that into your cost model. And so sure, every company can work with their insurance carrier and decide we're going to cover this, we're not going to cover that. You have that ability to do that. But if you're trying to attract the very best talent in your business, I think more offerings, more coverage is actually going to be cost effective for you in the long run, because you're going to keep those employees long term.
You took the words out of my mouth. Retention, it actually goes and helps out with your retention rate in the long run, rather than having to onboard and train people.
So guys, it's the long run. What about the short term right here? Because people's bleeding with their loans and everything like that. So how do you come about that? Long term is great, but if it's cutting your profits where you're losing 30% a year, what do we do? I mean, seriously, this is a double whammy here.
One thing, guys, I read, and this is so true. Okay, think about any time you've gone to a doctor. It is the only industry left on earth, probably, outside of maybe a mom and pop shop, that actually utilizes a fax machine. It's very inefficient in terms of how they do things, right? Let's say you went in for an MRI on your shoulder. You're getting a bill from the doctor. You're getting a bill from the radiologist. You're getting a bill from the radiology center that you went to that looked at your shoulder. You're getting 3 different bills.
Any labs that you get, like blood testing, that's another bill.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you get a script like from your doc, right? And then they're like, oh no, I can't take your script for your MRI. I need to have them. They need to fax me the doctor's
money, guys.
I'm like, well, can't they? No. It has to be a fax. I'm like, okay, it's like the Maytag repairman. That fax repair guy must be like, the busiest guy or the loneliest guy in the world, one or the other, because it's like the only industry that is fraught with inefficiencies and poor customer service, and it's allowed.
Kim, it's not even customer. Kim,
wait, what customer do you have, Shark, that you could keep waiting for an hour in a waiting room and have them still be a customer, right? They're just inefficient.
Never. But here's the key, guys. It's not about that. It's about generating money. When they refer you to another doctor, everybody's going to kick back. This is the key. It's the kickbacks they're getting here. You know what I mean? I go in just for a regular body test, and they're like, well, you got something wrong here. Go here. It's like going to the auto body. There's always something wrong with you. So they're going to refer you somewhere else. And then when you get here's the best part about it. Then you get your bill, and insurance says, we only pay about 30% of that. I take a blood test, and I still owe $300, and I'm paying premium insurance. What's going on? And then when you just dispute that, forget that. Get on a phone call with that, and you're like, submit it again. And it's like, you either pay it or you have bad credit. So here we are.
Well, look, staffing also plays into this cost structure and these increases, and I'll tell you why. Back during COVID, when we had massive shortages in healthcare for healthcare workers, you had these traveling nurses making double what they've normally made in their career. You got people getting a job offered to be a nurse in North Dakota with a $50,000 sign-on bonus, a $250,000 base salary, and a $50,000 completion bonus at the end of 6 months. And that's all being marked up by a staffing company. And, staffing companies went into these hospitals and said, I've got 10 nurses right now. Can you use them? If you don't, I'm going to take them to the next hospital down the street. And they're money. No, we need them. Well, now you're paying a premium, and that really shot the costs through the roof. And it's that's why I think that's part of why healthcare staffing is down right now is just like in light industrial space. These companies figured out how to do it on their own, but they're still paying a premium. And so I think those costs are, those are overlooked, and our our industry plays a role in the increased cost of healthcare.
You know what, real quick, I'm going to time in on this. I just had a guest on a couple of weeks about healthcare, and he kind of like told the real story. The reason it's down, a lot of people's getting out of the nursing industry. They don't want to be bedside anymore. They're going into either like maybe staffing, recruiting, or going in different directions. So I think COVID put a hamper on that, where they collected a lot of money, but they got burnt out too, guys. And they're like, I'm done with this. I'm not seeing my family. Yeah, I made great money for the last 2.5 years. I'm out of this industry.
Yeah, and guys, did you see where healthcare added 47,000 jobs in August, which sounds like a lot, but they're saying that's the smallest increase since January of 2022. So to your point, Stephen, you're seeing the kind of the kink in the armor in healthcare hiring now, right? You're seeing that inflection point, I think.
Well, and what's not often talked about is the 25% of healthcare workers are in that age demographic that are going to be retiring over the next few years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing also with COVID, there's a lot of people who and I even have friends that started off going to nursing school, and then COVID hit and they're like, nope, redirecting. And then you had a lot of people exiting the industry. So it's impacting it as a whole, which is going to lead to soaring costs.
Well, the thing is, though, we know with the younger generation, I'm going to tell you right straight up, the younger generation going for nursing now, they want a flex schedule. They don't want to work night shift for 4 years, and all that stuff. So that's a hamper. In the 90s, Kim will tell you, in the 90s, nursing was booming for guys and women. You know that. When I went to school, Penn State, it was like, if you were a nurse, like the classes were so full. Now they can't get enough people to enroll at all.
Yeah. My brother's a nurse, actually. He's an RN, and he works 3 to 11. And it's just, you would think, to your point, Richard, there'd be a little more flexibility. He's been at it a long time, but he's like, if he wants to change a shift or he wants to take off or whatever, I mean, there's a lot of planning that has to go along with that. It's not as easy for him to like take off as it would be maybe for some of us to say, hey, I'm going on vacation on, October the 5th or something like that. So yeah, no, it's not an easy job. I mean, they kind of get the, beat out of them sometimes, I think. Yeah. It's tough.
So what is staffing? So the staffing industry that supports healthcare, they're getting the brunt of the worst of it right now. They have been for a while. They were the star sector in 22, 23, and now they're just slowing down. So what do staffing agencies do? Are we going to absorb some of the costs? Are we going to pass the cost to the clients? We're going to reduce our markup. What does healthcare staffing look like?
So you mean staffing as far as staffing companies, or you mean healthcare? Or you mean staffing in general when they're offering plans to their employees? Staffing
companies. I know I kind of pivoted a little bit, but from a staffing perspective, we're impacted by this.
Yeah. So what I think, what do you do? I think you really have to look at like a combination of things, right? Let's face it, staffing companies are here. They have to turn a profit, right? They're here to make money. I think you have to look at your plans and maybe offer a variety of plans. Offer a high deductible plan, like a $6,000 deductible plan. That's actually what I have. Some people will take it because the premiums are lower, right? So that you could offset your costs that way. I do think, to G Money's point, you've got to look at things like GLP-1s and determine, if it's meant for diabetes, you got to offer it, of course, but if it's meant for vanity, don't offer it, right? And then there's some other things too. They talked about like validating, obviously you can keep dependent children on now, I think until, somewhere in the mid-20s
or something like that.
Yeah. They said that companies are starting to go and start to do validation.
Wow, that's nice.
That's a key point too. I think
I might check and see. Maybe I can get on my parents' insurance still. You think?
Yeah. Okay, you're a little old.
20 years ago.
I think you've got to look at how to go and offset costs. There are some people that will take a high deductible plan for lower premiums. Maybe again, not offering the GLP-1s that are for this pure weight loss. Looking at different things like copays and premiums. But if shop your plan around, I'm sure most staffing companies are working with a broker. Shop that plan around, see if you can get something better, a better deal with Blue Cross Blue Shield than you could with United or vice versa. Every year, shop it around and see who's going to give the best alternative to you as a company that you can go and turn around and offer your employees. But I'd say if you're offering a Cadillac plan as a staffing company and you plan to keep doing that, tout that, scream that from the highest rooftop as your differentiator, because that is a great differentiator, more so today than it was, 5, 20, 30 years ago. It's something to jump up and down and shout about if you're offering a great plan. It's a differentiator because the cost, as we know, come out of our pocket. And if you minimize that, people are going to love you.
No, absolutely. And the thing is, I think one of the best things that we could go and do is kind of offer like 3 different packages at the bare minimum. I'm saying 3 because I'm thinking like gold, silver, platinum, or whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, okay, here, this one's going to have your lowest deductible and this, but it's going to cost more. And so I think it's kind of figuring out, all right, how do you offset the cost for the actual staffing company, but also finding the right balance for the actual employee. And I feel like that's going to be a formula that you're going to have to come up. You got to look at your numbers, you got to look at the impact, but also realize that there is a lot of value in offering actual benefits that are good and profitable. And I apologize for the Frenchie, he's snoring, but oh, I can.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. But the thing is, like, think about, okay, hey, especially for like some of your like placements that are going to be of like not light industrial, but let's go and think about like an IT contractor, right? They're going to go and stay with a company longer, and they're going to be able to have more of a retention rate, right? Because it's not just a turn and burn. It's a here, hey, blank, blank, blank. You're going to be able to go and put that person to work. It's going to be impacting the bottom line of the staffing company, because if you can go and keep someone on assignment for longer, that means you got more revenue coming in rather than you having to go restart, re-recruit, look at this, putting things up on job boards, spending all of those hours trying to hire something. And I know, Steve, you and I, we've talked about this before. The average time to hire someone is about 37 hours. So I do think that is part of the equation.
Hiring.
Yeah, time spent hiring. But I think that's part of the equation where that is a variable that needs to be factored in when it comes to this bottom line.
And then we know with healthcare, guys, we know that takes a lot longer. You know what I mean? You got to go through everything. I mean, it could be a week process to get everything lined up. What I'm saying is the benefits is great, but I'm going to tell you straight up, what I hear on the streets is a lot of people want that flex schedule. So here's what I'm going to say with healthcare staffing firms. You need help. Talk to the hospital, talk to the nursing home. You got to work on some kind of plan here. I know hospitals now are changing a lot of things up so they're working with staffing firms now and saying, how can we get these people to stay? How can we make them happy? Because nursing or anything in healthcare could drain you. It's not the smile every day. They put that smile on, but besides, it's sadness and frowns a lot of times, and it's burnout. So the healthcare part is great, benefits, but the workflow is also something else that we have to think of. How do we keep these people happy? And one of the number one things is talk to the nurses and say, give opinions, surveys. What's going to make you happy to stay? I think that's the number one thing, guys, at the end of the day. Surveys are the best. Ask your employees, what do you want? And then come to a happy medium.
All right. So that was a really good opening, Kim. Thank you. I want us to jump. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the jobs data. We've talked a little bit about this on our last episode, but every month the headlines scream one thing. Then a few months later, the BLS, they quietly, reverse the numbers. Everything's down. Lately, the revisions have been huge. But here's the kicker, and I was reading about this morning. The BLS itself admits it doesn't track the legal status of workers. So that means undocumented workers on payrolls get counted on the front end, right, for job growth. But when asylum claims are denied or people deported, they fall out of the data. So I think that's why we are seeing these massive benchmark adjustments. It's not just a survey error. It's a structural blind spot, and the JOLTS numbers are showing the same kind of late cycle signals: job openings down, quits down, hiring slowing. So my question here is: are we looking at the real slowdown in demand, or just statistical fallout of the workforce that was here working and now isn't? Kim, help us cut through this. What do staffing leaders really need to understand about these revisions? How should they be reading the JOLTS data right now?
I know. Well, I was jumping around about BLS last 2 weeks ago when we got on together, but they said I think it's from May through April of last year to this year. Again, adjustment downward, somewhere around 900,000 jobs, right? And I think it's probably, to your point, Stephen, it's probably like, it's usually never just one thing. It's probably a lot of factors and a lot of elements that go in there. It's probably some of what you're saying, some confusion on, documented, undocumented workers, and if they're working, and then if then they leave the country, how is that being counted? But also too, it seems like, again, I pointed out throughout 2023, 24, and 25, for like the past 3 years, we've had these adjustments downward, right? Every single month by the tune of around 10 to 11%. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. So I think systemically, there has been something wrong in their reporting. There's some type of issue with the integrity of their numbers. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't think it's just the documented, undocumented worker situation. I think that,
100%.
Again, for something to happen this long for the past 3 years, you got other factors in play. And quite honestly, I don't believe any of the numbers that come out of BLS anymore. After 3 years.
Can we say that louder, Kim? Say that louder. You know what?
I'm going to chime in the numbers on BLS. I mean, I don't know if they're throwing a dart at a dartboard, but again, it's been across the board for the past few years. So how do you know what's right and how do you know what's wrong? There is one stat that basically said, people are reporting that consumers are reporting that jobs are, they're saying, 20% harder on average to come by. I mean, that was a SHRM.org statistic from SHRM. I mean, it sounds kind of vague, but people are basically kind of saying, hey, it's harder to get a job. Unless, I think the bright spot last month was manufacturing is ticking up. It's ticking up where healthcare was ticking down, which is kind of a good thing. So I think, to your point, Steve, G Money, and Shark, you guys have kind of said it before, it depends on what sector you're in and what your skill set is, right? Because if you're a CPA, you're going to get a job, right? It just depends on what you have, is your skill set in demand, right? But BLS, on them for right now.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to tap in real quick here. It's like a grain of salt. Seriously, at the end of the day, the job report, everybody fears it. Oh my goodness, what I see on the streets and what I see on the job report is totally different. First off, my friends, unemployment is down. You know why? Because everybody's exhausted their benefits. They don't have a job after 6 months. That employment number will stay low because we got like 7 million people not working. Their unemployment benefits ran out. So here's what the job report's like. It's like going to phys ed class, Steve, back in the day. You get an S, satisfactory, or get a U, unsatisfactory. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know these numbers that 20,000 lifeguards got hired for the summer. So now the job report went up. And then, Christmas time, it goes up for seasonal work and up and down and all around. I know in our industry, we all take it seriously. I'm going to tell you straight up, you guys got to stop that stuff. To be honest with you, the job report doesn't depict what we actually do every day. You think it does because it's all in your mind. I mean, last thing I'll say, and I'll let G Money chime in, is remember a year and a half ago, the job report was totally wrong? Remember that, Kim? It was like off by 700,000 number. How do you get that wrong? I mean, seriously, we're off by 700,000. People got hired and it was negative. I mean, this is where we're at with this. So at the end of the day, like I said, I laugh about it. I know people put it out there and they get all serious. It's a fear factor in my eyes. Don't worry about it. Look at it, say, okay, and then walk on and do your thing.
Yeah. Historically, if you look at it, guys, look at it historically throughout time. So if unemployment right now is at 4.3, 4.4% across the board, historically, that's pretty dang low, right? Yeah, I mean, go back to like 2009 and 2001, way higher than that. I mean, you were almost approaching double digits, I think, in 2009. So historically, it's still pretty darn low. I think I'll go back to it, depends on your skill set and if it's in demand. If it's engineering, heck yeah, you got a job, right? CPAs, you got a job. Other folks, maybe if you're HR, maybe you don't have a job. It just depends.
Or computer science. God bless you all.
So, and so it goes back to the just like industry that you're in. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing, like, I know a couple of different people. They're all like computer savvy, all right, either programmers or X, Y, and Z. They can't find work or they've been laid off.
Right.
And like, so I think it definitely goes back into the actual industry. And right now, as we're seeing AI taking over so many things, there was an article that I ended up reading about how, like, with AI taking over certain roles, now there's no mid-level management. Okay.
Right.
And it's actually, oh, yep.
I'm in trouble.
No entry level, right? G Money.
Call the shark, Steve. I'm here for you.
Oh, man.
No, but the mid-level, because
mid-level too. Oh, I didn't see that. I just knew entry level.
Oh, well, because here's how it's impacting entry level and mid-level and top level. So essentially, I'll have to find the link in the article. But it is essentially something where, okay, a lot of people entry level going to their direct report is where they get the most trusted source of information, right? But things only trickle down so much when you have AI taking care of all the middle, right? And so now you have all these entry level people who are no longer having the option of having a leader who's going to help them grow and help like mold them to taking over in the future. So how is that actually going to impact things in the future? We got to think about that. It is fascinating, but this is where industry is like, okay, here, yes, technology is coming, businesses are changing, it's going to happen. But knowing what industry you're in, right, what you're looking for, the BLS report, yes, it's not going to read all of that and get that granular, but for staffing agencies, I think it's really important to actually be coaching and working with their clients of like, if you're going to be doing this type of layoff or you're going to be implementing X, Y, and Z, you do realize that people are needed and it can't all just be replaced by technology. And that's where staffing can go and help out. But when it comes to other corporations,
yeah. Here's some thoughts.
They got lots of thoughts, right?
Yeah, here's some. So I think between 2021 and 2023, we added 1 million asylum seekers to the payroll, right? And so you're seeing this in the job reports during those years. But again, when you look at industries like food processing, hospitality, construction, logistics, where immigrant labor is heavy. And then you've got these mass deportations, mass revocations of employment status for these asylum seekers, and so those people are not filing for unemployment because they can't, and so they're not being counted in the unemployment numbers. They're not reapplying to jobs because they just can't work now, and so it's not affecting the labor participation rate very much because they're just looking at the official unemployed. And to your note there, Richard, on those that just fall off, like they run out of benefits. And so I think the picture is really complex. I don't believe the data. I agree with everybody here. But I think the big picture here is we need to answer the question, are job openings slowing down, with everything that's going on with this immigrant labor, or is it easing back up? I mean, where's the true softening of the demand or the increase? Is it just a reset from the overheated levels? That's what I want to figure out.
I think it's a very complicated answer. Okay. And I think it's going to go back to the point of what industry you're in. Okay. How is technology impacting it? But also it goes back to, okay, so where did you find your people initially, right? Are those jobs still there? Or is it going to be something here? You were used to getting a workforce at a certain point, like price point, and now you can no longer do it. But also you're the one who, a lot of these people would be W-2 employees. So who made that decision to go hire these people? And now they can no longer collect any sort of unemployment benefits. Right. So I think it's having to go take a good hard look and think about your industry. If we're going to be doing a play-by-play, go take a look at your industry. All right. Look at your cost analysis when it comes to healthcare, but also look at unemployment rates, look at who you are hiring, look at all the legal compliance pieces, because you're only going to be able to focus in on one area versus us trying to fix the whole solution or have a whole solution for the entire industry. So I think it's very nuanced, and you got to just go get into your niche and really identify and be very honest about how we are impacting it as a whole. So I don't
Certainly.
know. You all speak.
Kim, I'm curious with the slowing wage growth. We've got temporary help continuing to dip down month over month. The industry's been down for 3 years. Unemployment ticking up, although it'd be much higher if we were counting this immigrant labor. But these are all late cycle patterns, right? We're looking in the rearview mirror. But my take is I think clients are still hiring. They're more selective, but the job growth is certainly not there yet.
Yeah, and again, it goes back. I'll say it again, skill set. Look at like the skilled trades right now. Hot. If you're placing skilled trades, type individuals, I'm working with a company right now that's exclusively what they do, HVAC and electricians and plumbers and all that. They're doing great. Huge demand there, right? All my finance and accounting customers doing great because they're placing treasurers and controllers and CPAs and they're doing well. IT customers, it's tepid, right? It just depends on who they're working with and where they're working with them. It's just all it depends. So I think that, again, there is demand out there. There is always somebody out there hiring. To your point, Stephen, it's a little slower process. They're more selective. It's going to take a little bit more time. And again, I'll say as well, I'll add into that. Engineering is hot, professional engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical, civil, industrial engineering, test engineering. It's hot, still hot, right? Because those are, high demand, low supply type of people, right? So it just depends. So what I would say is, if you have a skill set that is maybe higher in supply, let's say you're an HR individual, there's probably a lot of HR individuals, you're going to have to get, settle in for, a longer job search and get out there and get resourceful, right? And we've talked about all that before, whether it's LinkedIn, professional associations, networking in the community, working with recruiters, all those things, you're going to have to get really, really resourceful. Okay. Depends on your skill and your industry.
Right.
And on top of that, working with a coach or a mentor to help you level up.
In addition
Okay.
There's a little asterisk on that.
Maybe your recruiter's not that, to your point, T-Money. Yeah.
All right. So we're all saying about the resourceful stuff. I get where you guys come from, but me dealing with a lot of people that's been looking for a job for a year and a half with these skill sets, I'm going to tell you straight up, light industrial. Yeah, there's a million jobs out there, but paying $14 an hour, you can't survive. Sorry, you can't even buy a Band-Aid for your kids. I mean, so we got to factor that. These jobs are plentiful, but they're like survival jobs. I mean, you got enough to get you a Chipotle meal, and that's it with a coupon. So where do we start with this stuff at? Seriously, at the end of the day, look at LinkedIn alone, guys. I mean, some of these jobs, 200,000 people apply for one job with 6 figures. So as we say they're hiring out there, I love how we're saying this. We're saying they're hiring. There's a lot of not hiring. I know probably about 500 people right now that got ghosted in last year, and these are people with master's degree, PhDs, can't get anything in their industry. Going back to Kim with engineering, yes, it is flourished right now. It's very good. A lot of contract in engineering right now, I see. 6-month contract, year, because it's a government contract. They don't know if it's going to be around longer for that 5 years. So a lot of contract work in that. So I got to tell you, at the end of the day, yes, is hiring slow? Is there jobs out there? Yes, but what job is it? Is it the rotten apple job that nobody wants that pays like $12 an hour? I mean, we got to figure that the hot jobs, how many people apply for that? We see it on LinkedIn all the time. A good job, make it 80,000 or above, you're going to get over 200 to 300 applicants or more in one day.
You made a great point.
Very overwhelming for the recruiter, but can go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You made a great point. If you're a job seeker out there, be ready, willing, and able to take a contract role, because that contract role could actually go into a permanent role, and you can get in, show them what you're made of, prove yourself, and then convert. That's actually my first job out of college was a contract to hire role, right? And yes. I'm like, okay, let me try this out. Let me go in and try to do a good job. And I was a financial analyst. So, be open to that, because number one, it really can lead to something else, to a perm job. And if it doesn't lead to a perm job, at least you have that experience that you can now bundle up on your resume and say, hey, I was a contractor at XYZ company, and here's what I did, right? It just keeps building up your portfolio of skills. So contract jobs, all the way, be open to it. Don't be closed-minded to it if you're a candidate. It is a great way to
100%. And the last thing I'll say, guys, is have a staffing firm or executive recruiter work with you. Bottom line is, they're your Jerry Maguire. Show me the money, show me the job. I'm telling you, they're your best friend, and they're not going to charge you. If an executive recruiter charges you, don't work with them. It should be free. The company pays. So,
preach.
So
Woo,
I
preach.
think so. Here's the kicker: temporary staffing has always been the canary in the coal mine. Like when orders shrink, what happens? They trim flexible labor first. And so I don't think we're seeing an overall collapse in staffing. We're just seeing a substantial dip, a long-term dip. But, when we pay attention to these signals, you look at freight volume is down 8% year over year. You've got all of these signals saying we're just in a stagnant, shrinking economy right now. And with this labor force, this immigrant labor force that's kind of just been removed from the data. You made a point, Richard, earlier about the pay rates. There's a million manufacturing jobs out there, but these are the jobs that are paying $14 an hour. And I think that's where staffing can come in and really consult on what's happening in the market, the available labor in the workforce, and what their needs are when it comes to their compensation package. If we can consult these customers on how to attract a workforce and still meet their budgets, maybe push the costs onto their vendors, which a lot of companies do that. I think we're going to be in a much better position as an industry, but we have to be willing to provide that data and consult, or we're going to lose out on someone else that will, because someone will.
Absolutely. And so here's a bunch of things that have gone and impacted like just our world. Okay. The market has changed. The economy has changed. Cost of living has increased. And so if we can go and figure out the way that we can go provide a solution for our client and have those difficult conversations, be like, listen, in this market, the average cost of living is X, Y, and Z. All right. The average pay for this type of role is X, Y, and Z. I understand that's a little bit more than what you are used to. However, we're trying to provide solutions and actually really working with your clients. But fun fact, I saw this. So this is in Mexico. They doubled their minimum wage, and it actually dropped homelessness and increased their economy and their job market by over 50%. Okay, because they increased wages. They doubled the
Here's what
not here in the United States.
You got me all.
Go ahead, Kim. I know you're going to chime in on this.
Spurred up now. Okay, so I understand, and I agree with what you're saying, G-Money. But what also happens when you increase minimum wages is the company doesn't take that on the chin, right? They go and they pass that cost along to their consumers, right? So like McDonald's, increases their wages. What do? They raise the price of the Big Mac, right? Then what happens is people like the Shark, me, you, and Steve, we're like, I think I'm needing at home. I'm not going to go to McDonald's.
Can I have one French fry, please? How much?
Yeah, because
right now it's all true. So where's the balance?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But yeah, because you're right. It does. No company takes it on the chin. We all know. I mean, cable company, Walmart, whoever it is, they pass the cost along to the
exactly. Look at Dollar Tree, guys. Dollar Tree's not $1 anymore. It's $1.25. So I mean, seriously, we did, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, in Arizona iced tea, they're actually going to have to go and increase their price from 99 cents.
Yeah, because you know what? Too, one really good thing, and I know sometimes it can be a trail, like a very long line trailing indicator. But for right now, the stock market hit record highs yesterday. We still have that is rock and roll on, that gives companies that the capital, at least publicly traded companies, the capital and the dollars that they need to go and invest in infrastructure and operations, and also hire. So at least we have that's remaining strong and remaining pretty, knock on wood, pretty resilient for now.
Yeah. And for right now, like that's the stock market increasing. That's going to go and increase confidence when it comes to making buying decisions, and especially for companies. And so that should be a pretty decent indicator, but
there's something missing there. There's something missing though in that equation. You as consumer confidence increases and the economy stabilizes, you have all of these baby boomers that have been holding out for the economy to get better before they retire. So they're looking at the stock market and they're going, okay, my 401k is in good shape. I feel good about what's happening in the next year. I'm gonna I'm going to give my notice, right? And so I believe we're going to see an increased workforce, this aging workforce that will retire. And that's good and bad on the economy. It just depends on if those positions are replaced, right? Or if they're just added to someone else's workload. So that's going to be really interesting. But retirees, they're spending money, right? When they retire. So that's going to infuse demand in the economy, and which in turn is going to hopefully create more jobs.
Well, I'm going to throw this back at you, Steve. So here's what I deal with. Some people that's retiring, they're not going to retire right now because from what I understand and talking to them is I'm going to work another 5 extra years because once I retire, even though I have money with my IRA or whatever like that, I'm on a fixed income. You know what I mean? So if the economy keeps going up and up and more stuff keeps spending, how am I going to get my grandkids to college and all this? I hear this all the time. So on my end, I see a lot of people stay until like 75 and just riding that last 5-year wave. You know what I mean? What are you doing the last 5 years? You're just hanging on, making great money and just chilling. So, I mean, you can go either way on this, you know? Last thing before I get out of here, I want to say, Kim Henderson, thank you for the Big Mac shout out there. He was born and raised in my hometown in the 60s, and my mom worked at the McDonald's where it was created at, and she got to see it all go down. Bam.
If I don't eat fast food a lot, but when I do, it's McDonald's all the way, baby. McDonald's all the way.
USA, Uniontown, PA.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome discussion. Thank you, guys. This was really, really fun. I'm glad we didn't agree on everything. It's certainly a very important topic right now that we're all trying to tackle. Real quick, Kim Henderson, you are going to be speaking at TempNet next week. Is that right?
That is correct. TempNet next week, selling statement of work, and also how to differentiate your staffing firm and how to give the right kind of value add and gain market share, client share. So when is it? TempNet in Utah,
Salt Lake City, and then you guys are going to be in Park City,
right?
Park City.
Yeah, I was just talking to Mark Winter earlier. Sounds like he's going to be speaking there too. So make sure both of you come by to the office here in Salt Lake. We'll get you some Staffing Playbook swag. And for those of you attending the Staffing World Conference in October, the Staffing Playbook will be there. We'll be handing out T-shirts to the first 10 people that mention this podcast. So looking forward to it. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Be safe, my friends. Love y'all.
Hey, thanks for watching today's episode. This episode is sponsored by Staffing Referrals. We have relied on staffing referrals for years to turn satisfied associates into brand ambassadors, keeping quality talent coming in and lift retention. See what it can do for you at staffingreferrals.com or click on the link in the description. Thanks for watching.
Hey.